Good evening, folks. Welcome back to Hampden. It's me and Stevie Clifford of Four Lads Had a Dream Rangers Review fame here to look back on Rangers 3, Hearts 1 in I was about to say the Scottish Cup. It wasn't the Scottish Cup, the Viaplay Cup semi-final. Rangers continue, Stevie, their good form, their good start under Philippe Clément. It was 0-0 at half-time. I thought it was a game where Rangers, when you watch the game back, you'll feel like Rangers were in control for the whole game, which they were. But because of their cup record here, because of the scar tissue, it kind of always, as the lights go out around us, it always felt a little bit dubious up until that second half. And they scored 3 goals by 65 minutes, and it was kind of party time in the Rangers end. Sum it up for me. Who stood out? What's your emotions after that? And I guess, in summary, Rangers continue where they left off on Wednesday night, which is a good overall performance.
Probably better the lights went out. I look a lot better in the dark for the folk watching. So, yeah, listen, I'm delighted. I am so happy with that. I'm getting quite excited by what I'm seeing this last couple of games now. There's patterns of play. There's good attacks. There's good pressing. There's a nice shape to us. And, yeah, we weren't ahead at half-time, but we created 4 or 5 chances in the first half. We maybe should have taken one. Good goalkeeping kind of keeps us out. But we're creating, and it wasn't, it was 6 weeks ago we were doing nothing in games and not looking good, not looking flat. It's a complete sea change in performance, and you can see subtly what Philippe Clément is trying to do. And this is before he's even properly got started. And, all credit to the players. And I've doubted them, and I've questioned them, and we have criticised them. But they are responding, and they're really taking it. Guys like Lundstrom, who was a colossus again in midfield today. I thought he was great. He was good the other night. I thought he was great today. And then you get guys like Scott Wright, who has come in and he was really hard done by. I said to you boys beforehand, I think he should be playing. And when he came on at halftime, I thought he was great. So I am absolutely buzzing for what I saw today and to be through to the final. And look, this club's all about winning. We have to win things. This is Rangers. We have to be back to where we all want us to be. So we have to win. We have to go and win that final.
Yeah.
But at least we're giving ourselves the opportunity to do it, Joshua. So, we've sat here last season twice at Hampden and been absolutely gutted at the performances and slated people. But I'm delighted with that. I really am.
Todd Cantwell going off. We'll start with that. I want to speak about Scott Wright, which I know you'll enjoy. Jack Butland, Danilo, James Tavernier, who again just I think continues to, as he has done for me throughout his Rangers career, defy critics, takes a step closer to win a trophy that he's not won at the club. Asked on Viaplay why Todd Cantwell came off, and if you weren't watching the game for whatever reason, he was replaced at halftime by Scott Wright. The manager said it was more of a tactical one, more so with his yellow card. I didn't want to take a chance with that. We knew Scott had energy. I want to rotate with the two of them like I have done the past 2 weeks because I want fresh players up front who can make directions but also do the defensive job. It was just tactical, nothing special. I thought if Scott Wright was going to come on, and I agree with you, I think his impact in the second half was excellent. I think that Clément clearly wants to play with 2 wide players. You can see that in every single team he selects. Even if Scott Wright's not playing wide, he's a wide player, and that means that he's going to drive forward with the ball and commit players. In the first half, I thought Rangers were too cross-heavy, which is quite a consistent criticism. The only time they weren't cross-heavy was, for me, if they moved the ball quickly to the left, Barisic had time to slide the ball in behind for Sima. But if they moved the ball slowly to the left, the Hearts line could drop and there's no space behind, and you have one of those crosses which goes nowhere. On the right-hand side, there was a couple of nice moments where they broke in behind with Cantwell and Lammers and Tavernier playing together, but I thought that was few and far between. And what I think Rangers actually lacked was 1 or 2 players getting on the ball in favourable positions and actually driving at Hearts. Now, if Todd Cantwell had been picking the ball up on the left side for me, then it's more natural for him to cut inside. But because he's kind of going away from his strong side, it didn't his impact felt a little bit limited on the game. So it was a substitution that maybe would have surprised people pre-match, but you've got to give Scott Wright his credit for the impact he made, because he scored a goal. He could well have scored another. He was hauled back and actually wins the free kick from which Tavernier scores, and his impact on the game was really material when the whistle blew at full time, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Look, I think everybody knows that I rate Scott Wright, and he gets a bit of a hard time, and he's not always performed. He's not kicked on the way we really would have hoped. But there's a player there, and I think that's obvious. And it's up to him to really grab the opportunity. And since the managers came in, he's grabbed the opportunity. So you want him to kick on, and what he brought in the second half was an energy that I didn't quite feel that was there in the first half. And the thing about it when he came on is, as well, it's probably easier for us to see and the people to see who were at the game today, that he brings there's an instant shape, like the three, Seema, Lammers, Wright, they were all in that line and they were all really well organised. And Danilo then can go and press. And that looked good on the eye. And immediately it comes to fruition because the penalty win from Danilo is about him going to press. It's about him going to press that ball and get a loose ball, get a second ball, get a loose ball. And then he nips in and the keeper takes him. So immediately he has that kind of impact. And they say, his goal, it's actually reminiscent of the one that he scored against Hearts in the final, except flipped the ends and he was up the other side. So, I mean, it's a great finish. He's well capable of doing that. And as you said, he won the free kick. He won the free kick for the third, which Tav, executes fantastically well. But he also had one that just flashed wide from Seema. He had another shot that was wide at the other side. He made an impact. And I said before the game, I said it was Lammers or Cantwell for me, and it would be Lammers because I thought the team that played the other night should have played today. And I thought they were excellent the other night. So it was no criticism. Phil makes his decisions. We go with what he chooses, and he got it right because we won the game. But the halftime substitution made sense. Todd Cantwell is in a bit of a difficult position. He's not played really consistently well since the end of last season now. He's been injured. He's been moved about. He's been suffering a team that hasn't performed. So I'm not sitting here criticising him, not at all. But I think we can take our time and bed him back into where he really needs to be playing, which is, I think, as a 10. Lammers was good the other night. He deserved to start today. But with that natural width, Joshua, I just think we look better. We look a better side. We're more productive going forward. We're more clinical in how we're trying to move and what we're trying to do. The shape looks better. I'm just all for it. Wright was the one that came on today at half-time and took his opportunity massively. And, I thought he was good the other night as well. I thought he was hard done by today to be dropped out. But that is what he is. You make that impact. He took the opportunity, made the impact, scored a great goal. And in the space of 15 minutes, Rangers found themselves 3 up in a pretty devastating start to the second half. And that's what I mean about exciting to watch. This team, it's just starting,
they kept going
to show something.
Yeah, they kept going when they went 1-0 up. Whereas maybe there's even a bit of a tendency
side to side, isn't it?
Control the game. Which anyway, we've went 8 minutes into this video without talking about James Tavernier, which feels like a travesty after his performance today. Stevie, he's someone who, there's a podcast series in his Rangers career, isn't there? He's someone who's taken a lot of criticism, and in my opinion, he's someone who he's got failures to his CV at Rangers, no doubt about it. I think often he's been guilty by association to underperforming players. We'd be on this video for probably another 20 minutes if we were to go through all the big minutes that he's provided, not only in big games, but also in kind of run-of-the-mill league games as well. And if you contrast it, before we talk about this penalty, if you cast your mind back to about this time last week in the game where he'd missed that penalty in the first half, he's stepping up to take that second penalty around 89 minutes. And while I remember, there's actually a brilliant piece he sat down with, I think it was the Sunday papers on the website. You can read, Tavernier goes into great detail about his penalty methods, how he practices them. So really interesting and worth a few minutes of your time. But that takes, I kind of felt watching that moment at Ibrox, Stevie, that was a bit of a sliding doors moment for him. Because if he'd missed that, and he'd missed 2 penalties in a game where Rangers would have, let's be honest, that would have been the league done psychologically as much as anything. But he didn't. He stepped up. He finished it. He then goes and provides the assist. And then today he gets one step closer to a trophy. Now, he's not won that. But I think he gets the rewards for stepping up and taking that penalty when Danilo could have taken it. No doubt about it today. And the second goal, that is a free kick of the highest quality, isn't it? That we've seen from him time and time before.
Right, let's start off by saying what a pair of balls he's got on him.
Yeah.
Right? Leadership-wise, he's been slated. This crowd has criticised him. We've all criticised him, and he's deserved it at times because he's fallen way below the standards that he can deliver himself. He was questioned after Cyprus when we were out there and we had a pretty horror show. And a lot of people said that was it. And he's rightly, I think, said that was it because how many failures can he continue to have? And that's harsh, but that's life at Rangers. And then he kicks back with, 4 or 5 performances since the manager's come in. He's been great. The first half he drove on. He created the opportunity for Seamus header by getting to the byline, cutting it back, picks out somebody. And that was a criticism of us at half time, because we were saying on the other side there was crosses going in, but they're just going into an area. They're not going to people. Tav gets to the byline and cuts it out and finds somebody. So yeah, look, Tav's going to have times where he gives away the ball and he's not going to be perfect, because he's not a safe player. He tries and he drives on a lot and he tries to create. But to step up last week, and then not only to score the penalty, which some might say, right, that's the easy part, it's a penalty, whatever, he's missed one, to kick on again and put that cross in for us to win the game like he did, that's leadership. And then today he steps up, scores a penalty, and the whole team get a lift, and he's driving them on, and he's saying, but it's interesting because I listened to what the other players say about him. Lundstrom today, Danilo today, the manager today, leadership in the dressing room. He's the one driving standards. He's the one saying, let's do this, let's do that, let's get after this, So that's interesting for me, because we all sit and go, Tav doesn't lead, we don't, he doesn't shout the ball, he doesn't do that on the pitch.
He leads by example, doesn't he?
He leads by example. And the manager and the players around him are telling us how big he is and how big a performer he is. So that for me is huge. And listen, his free kick was a cracker. It reminded me actually of a goal Fernando Rickson scored against Livingston, which was very similar. It was a victory at Ibrox, and I just had that one in my head. I actually filmed it brilliantly, which we can't use.
It reminded me quite a lot of his Livingston one with Goldson in the wall.
Yeah, and he moves.
Listen, but on that leadership, is it not easier to make a late challenge and shout at your teammates in front of people and be seen to get the crowd up, or be seen to be a leader in the way that quite often maybe our football culture wants or expects? I think it's much more difficult to do what he has done, as you're touching on, which is lead by example. And you're right, I think the way that his teammates talk about him was telling for me, that the manager gave him a standing ovation. Maybe it was to get Dujon Sterling a couple of minutes, I'm not sure, because he literally was on the pitch for a minute. Yeah, but I thought that was telling as well. And listen, this will not matter at all if Rangers don't go and win the final. It'll still be a difficult game against Aberdeen, who I think will maybe set up in a similar shape with 5 at back. And there's still obviously a lot of, as you saw in the Hearts game last week at Ibrox, a lot to be worked upon. But speaking more generally about Clément's start, Stevie, just how impressed have you been with I guess the tone that he set overall? I was speaking to John Lundstrom in the mix zone there, and he said he's been so good for the club so far, so good for the squad. He spoke about how he treats every single player, not just the ones who are in the starting 11. He spoke about how he's raised the mood. It's been a really good start for the new man since he came in. And I think the important thing was that Rangers needed someone who was going to be able to do this, was going to be able to hit the ground running somewhat. Because if you'd come in and had a transitional season, I don't think that you just had one. So to have another one again for so many reasons wouldn't really have been possible. And Clément is getting, I think, quite a lot out of this group of players before he's had any activity in the transfer market as well. So sum up what you are thinking about Philippe Clément after his first 5 games in charge so far.
I'm excited.
Yeah,
I'm excited, and people know I'm a grump, and I'm not easily kind of impressed by stuff, Joshua. And perhaps the last couple of managers we've had some false starts, but subtly, is it okay to say that I've been impressed by what I'm seeing? Not only the results, right, and the victories have come, and we try to be grounded, and the results, we expect to win games, but we're playing differently. There's a style to this now. I can see it right in front of my eyes. We're trying to do stuff, we're trying to attack, the press is there, and we're organised. There's a good shape to us. He's got a clear method of what he's trying to do. And if you want to know what he's done, go and watch the 20 minutes of that second half where Rangers racing a 3-goal lead, and see how they are set up, and when they press, and how they trigger stuff, and when they go and push, and how it's set up, and how they look. It's all there in front of us. Now, what's also telling, I think, and what is really kind of positive for Philippe Clément, is that only 2 months ago we were sitting saying, well, what Rangers are going to turn up? What we're going to get? I think now we're starting to get to the point where we can say, well, we know what we're going to get under Clément.
Yeah.
So we know what performance we're going to get and what levels are going to happen. It's just whether or not we can win it on the day. So, I was impressed by us today. I was mightily impressed on Wednesday. I thought we were terrific. And last Sunday, you used the interesting phrase of sliding doors moment. Celtic had dropped points. We are 89 minutes, 1-0 down at home to Hearts, and that would have been it done and finished, and the negativity from that would have been overwhelming. All of a sudden, it ends the way it does, and we're off and running a wee bit. We've got a hell of a run of fixtures coming up, but the exciting thing about that is it's opportunity. There's an opportunity there, with these fixtures to really kick on and really prove to a point. And you know what? 5 points isn't a lot. It's a lot in Scotland, maybe, but it's one game before things get really, really interesting. And if this team and these performances can keep coming under this manager, who I think is just going to keep pushing and pushing and pushing, then I think, there's reason to be optimistic again. And we have to be grounded, because we've seen this before in this squad, and we've said a lot about them, and I still kind of have my doubts about whether or not they're capable.
And they've started well under the previous two.
Yes, they have, and that's the point. But you look at guys like Lundstrom, Leon Balogun, I think, deserves massive credit. He's come in the last couple of games and looked fantastic. He's added that bit of pace at the back. He's good in the air. He's a good man marker. Shankland didn't really do anything today compared with last week. When he brought a lot to the Hearts game, he didn't really get that today. And I think Balogun has been terrific. And you start to get that response, and then you get Scott Wright, who's absolutely grabbed his chance, and all that. We've not even mentioned Jack Butland.
Yeah, well, I want to come on to two players that I think Rangers in these games last season, Stevie. I know Danilo didn't score today, but he wins a penalty and he assists the second. Jack Butland makes a big save at 1-0 and a bigger save at 2-0. Rangers didn't have players who could get them over these fine margins, I think, last season. And again, although it wasn't a performance where, Tavernier is the kind of main story, that's familiar. Scott Wright is obviously a player who's been here before and has come off the bench and made a really good impact. But you see, having a player that the quality of Jack Butland in goal, having a player the quality of Danilo up top, and I think I mentioned as well for John Lundstrom, who's really good in midfield today. It suited him, this type of game where it's open. There was that moment in the first half where he sprinted to reach the ball, and I looked like the fastest man in the stadium at that point. But it's that reliability. When the ball goes up to Danilo, he's going to be able to do something with it. He uses the ball really well for that assist. He wins the penalty. Butland makes those two big saves. And those are just the fine margins that I don't think Rangers have had, because I don't think they've had players of that quality in those two positions over the last season or two. So I'll let you speak about Jack Butland, because I know you want to speak about him, but Danilo and Lundstrom as well, just from my part, I think they're well worth a mention today for their impact.
Are you asking me if I like Super Jack?
Yeah, I think you do. You've already sung the song to me off screen.
Aye. Yeah. I don't want to become a meme, but I really want to sing it. It's such an infectious song. But listen, Jack Butland, I've been blessed with seeing some really great Rangers goalkeeper. The first one I seen was Chris Woods. Then there was Andy Gorham, who I consider to be the best I've ever seen. And then there's Stefan Klos. And then even guys like Ronald Vaterus, who deputised for a few months here and there, was a great goalie. Then Al McGregor. And now we've got Jack Butland, who's not in that category yet. But he's come in, he's produced some magical moments. He has brought leadership. He's brought a calmness. And listen, we've had a lot of clean sheets. For a team that's kind of struggled, we've actually had a lot of clean sheets. And a lot of it got to do with him. Do we talk about Rangers having issues with cross balls anymore?
No.
We don't.
We talk about issues with crosses at the other end.
Yeah, but we don't talk about worrying about a goalkeeper not coming off his line or not being able to come and get across, because Butland is that, and he does that. But not only can he do that, the boy can save. That one from Kingsley is terrific. Like, he gets his hand up and gets enough strength to push that over the bar. So, he was great. But moving on to your other guys, Lundstrom, absolutely. I thought I've used the word Colossus, and I've had a right good go at John Lundstrom, because I think that Lundstrom can be a lot better than what he's provided. I thought in Cyprus, when he gave away that second ball, he could have been towing a caravan there. I thought he was terrible. And he's bounced back. And I thought against Hearts last week in the 2-1 game, I thought he was great. I thought in midweek he was brilliant. Every second ball getting to. And then again today, I thought he was really leading. But that's got a lot to do with the setup and how we're set up. It's actually suiting him. It suits Seema on the left. I thought Seema was great again. And he's filling in. It suits Balogun. It's suiting these guys, suiting Tav to get forward. He's actually organised it. And it suits what we're getting. Jack can be busy and tidy and understated, but Lundstrom then is the midfield general getting box to box. There was a sprint in the first half on the left-hand side where he got that ball. And just as he was going, I said, Lundstrom will not get that. And out of nowhere, he got that sprint and he got it. I thought he was great. So all credit to him. I spoke to him after it. And I said to him, listen, giving you a bit of a hard time. And you said it yourself. But you were great today, so good on him. And, Lunny's one of these guys that has got a lot to prove, I think, and try to earn a new contract and stuff. But see if he keeps going, then he's going to get it, because he was great. And Danilo's busy. He's energetic. Really like him. Loves his song. You'll be able to hear that interview later at 10:30, and he loves it. And he loves playing at this club. And I just think that he's going to miss chances. I think he's quite raw in a way as a striker sometimes, but I don't care, because if you get a striker that misses 5 chances in a game and that's all he does, then that's an issue. See if you get a striker like Danilo, like last week, big moment, big winner, midweek, misses chances, pops up a crucial second, and then we're comfortable and we're winning that game 5-0. Then today he wins the penalty. He doesn't score, he wins the penalty, then gets involved in the other goals as well. I think he actually goes down as assist. I think he clipped it to Wright and he gets the assist for that, possibly. I need to see again. But
he does, yeah.
He's making the difference up front.
Yeah.
And he's not polished, he's not clinical, he's not great at being a finisher, he's not perfect, right? But he's making a difference. And the difference between him and what we've seen at the start of the season, it now allows Dessers to get a breather, get himself together, and maybe he can start pitching in like midweek from the bench. He came on today, he did okay. Game was done at that point. He had an acrobatic overhead kick. I think if that went in, we would be accusing Big Phil of actually being Harry Potter and having a wand if he had done that. But this is my point. It's more positive. And, from a position, Joshua, where genuinely a couple of months ago I'm coming on this shows and it's negative and you're not feeling great and people are saying, oh, you're really negative about this and stuff. We weren't seeing anything on the pitch, and you have to try and be, positive and talk it up and try and do something. But in your heart, you're sitting thinking this isn't working. We used to come to me at half time and just say this isn't good, but we're sitting at half time now and we're saying this is good, this is fun, I like this is positive, we're seeing good stuff. I'm really excited about coming to see Rangers. I woke up today thinking we're in a semi-final and going to see Rangers. This is quite,
And you predicted 3-0, didn't you?
Said 3-0.
Yeah.
So I was disappointed, obviously, with the penalty. But it is what it is. And I'm going to games thinking we'll score goals, we'll attack. And yeah, listen, it's early days and there's a long way to go with a squad and we've got to be grounded what we're seeing. But I think it's okay to sit here and say, I think Clément might know what he's doing, and I think we might be heading in the right direction. And let's get it quietly done. Let's keep winning games. Let's keep performing well. Let's get Balogun, Seamas, Lundstrom, Scott Wright, Danilos. Let's get those level of performances from these guys, and let's keep going and kick on. And there's a trophy there to be won now. Go and get that. Let's see what happens. If we can go and get that trophy, let's see what happens after that, and see how this group responds. See how other teams respond to the fact that Rangers are winning things again. Big opportunities, Joshua. Finally, it almost feels like I've got my kind of mojo for watching Rangers back again. And I know that might seem weird to people watching, right? But it was so flat before, so negative. We're not seeing good football. You play Celtic at home, and that formation and the way they line up is so poor. There's nothing exciting there. You go watch this, and it's polar opposite. And I'm excited. I'm invested. I like what I'm seeing. I like Big Phil. He's got stature. He's got leadership. And I'm finally thinking, yeah, we look all right. This might actually be heading in the right direction. So, yeah, listen, for a Sunday night, I'm definitely a glass half full guy tonight. I'm really excited by what I'm seeing. And I hope everybody enjoyed it today. And, we can go into work tomorrow and be happy. And the club's back in a final. And let's start winning things. Let's start doing what this club is built about. Let's get that trophy in the bag and see what happens next. I'm intrigued to find out. Rangers are all about winning, Joshua. Yeah. Let's start winning these trophies. Let's start getting back to where we go and then go from there.
We will be back here next month to find out just that, if Rangers can win the first bit of silverware of the season. I'll be live with Derek tomorrow morning. We've got loads of content coming your way this week from myself, Stevie, Chris and others. So do subscribe if you have not done so already. Until then, thank you for joining us. Enjoy the rest of your evening, as I'm sure you will, and we'll speak to you on the morning briefing tomorrow. Bye for now.